Right, I'm looking at the Tascam Model 24, things I do and don't like about it, and on the whole the desk is amazing, I'm not going to deny it, it is, but it definitely does have some things about it that just don't work. Firstly, there's nowhere metronome nor click, which, to be honest with you, for me, I don't use one, so it doesn't matter, but if you do like a metronome nor click, there isn't one on this device. So because there isn't one on here, you have to come up with some way of making a click, and I have come up with an idea for that, which I will do at another tutorial. Also, I find the desk very tinny when it comes in as just a sound. If you put all the equalizer facing up just as a flat response, it's just not the best, to be honest with you. I find it very tinny, but then you can alter the graphic and you can make it sound really nice. The outputs don't really work for me. Some of them don't carry the effects that you've added of the graphic equalizer or just the effects in themselves. So if you sub out and you put back into a stereo track to bounce it back over, any effects or any graphic that you've added is just lost and it comes over as like a flat response. And that for me really doesn't work with this desk for me. So that's another thing, I just don't understand why they did that. So you have to work out which outputs are actually carrying any of the effects that you've added, and I think that's just really a down point of the desk for me. The Bluetooth works really well, it connects really easy. I'm using an iPad and I can bring in my music off there, but the one thing, it's got no graphic on it, so what comes in is just as it records in, and then that's it. These two here, these auxiliaries here, I have a very little, in fact none. It doesn't do anything. Maybe other people have had better experiences with it than I have, and maybe you could comment on that, but personally they don't do anything. So what I'm having to do is bring things in on the Bluetooth, and then I'm bouncing stuff over onto the stereo tracks. So once I've bounced it over from the Bluetooth, then I can use the graphic equalizer and change the actual sound that's coming in from the Bluetooth. So that for me just doesn't work, and I don't know why they didn't do that originally. The other thing about the Model 24 is the fact it doesn't have a tuner on it, which I find a real disadvantage. I like to tune up as I go along, or if I swap instruments, which I do quite a lot when I'm playing. I like to make sure that the next instrument that I'm using is in tune with the one I've just used. So it's just handy to have on the desk, and again they've not added a tuner on, so now I'm having to use a Boss pedal instead, which works, but it's just taking up space on my pedal board, which I don't really want to do. Looping the track as you go along, I mean, I bought the pedal, so I put the pedal in there and the foot switch for it, which works well, but it just doesn't loop very well at all. It's quite hard to loop compared to the old system I was using. I was using the DP24 SD before, and that was really easy to loop around a track, which was really handy when you were working out new pieces of music or working out a bit of lead. And on this it just doesn't work as well. I mean, I've got it now because I've been using it, but you know, it's definitely not the easiest things to start to use. The one thing I really don't like, the more I try and push the desk, the more I ask it to do, the more different instruments I stick into it or channels I use, it keeps crashing. Now I'm using these scan discs, which, you know, they're not cheap discs, and they are recommended for the desk, but it does crash an awful lot. And a couple of times I've literally lost everything, but fortunately, because I've had it on my iPad, I haven't actually lost the work I've done. Finally, there's a little graphic here, and to be honest with you, you know, it's just a waste of time. Again, it only comes out of certain outputs, and I've messed with it, but to be honest with you, it's just not worth it. It may as well not be on the desk. It just, they should have used other things like a tuner that would have been actually more useful for me anyway. Some people might again find it useful. If you do, leave something in the comments and tell me how you're using it. Maybe you'll find a use for me. Anyway, this is my review of all the things that I don't like about the Tascam Model 24.